On today's Collect These Takes, we're diving into March Madness hype, breaking down the biggest NFL free agency moves, talking about legendary sports nicknames, plus we've got some hot takes on some non-sports cards, and of course, your questions in the mailbag. Let's get into it. All right, welcome back to episode 5 of Collect These Takes. For those of you who are new, welcome. This is where sports talk meets the hobby. Picture it, the podcast where you walk into your local card shop, you start debating takes, checking out some cool cards, ripping packs, talking shop, talking sports, dropping takes. Whether you've been a hobby collector for years or just getting started, this is the pod and the spot for you. We'll break down some of the biggest moments, the latest trends, and everything in between, and whatever else pops up in our head, of course. So sit back. Let's talk sports and cards. Jord, are you out there? How are you, co-host?
I'm ready, Kev. It's a nice, shiny weekend here in New England. The weather's starting to warm up. It makes it's the perfect time of year for sports. It's actually my favorite time of year for sports. This next 2 to 3 months, you got college basketball, March Madness. You have playoffs with hockey and basketball. You have baseball starting. There's nothing more romantic than all of these sports culminating. You have the Masters, the marathons. It's a great time to be a sports fan.
Is there anything better than the kickoff to March Madness? You're just watching that first weekend, you're ingesting more sports than any other time of the year, I feel like, right? It can't be another time.
Yeah, that weekend is just overloaded. You have, I don't know how many games, going on concurrently that whole weekend. By the end of it, you felt like you played in the games because you're just strapped into your seats. You've eaten too many chips. You've seen the same True TV commercial 8,000 times, but I wouldn't change it for anything.
It's definitely sports overload, but let's start there. Let's start with some of the March Madness buzz and talk about how it's impacting the card and hobby world. What's your opening take for March Madness this year?
Oh, so we are coming off the heels of Cooper Flagg getting hurt. And if we had recorded maybe a day or two earlier, I would be saying it's Duke and, then everybody else. But with Cooper Flagg, a sprained ankle, Kevin, you are a sprained ankle survivor. As someone who, gets hurt and then it lingers for 3 years, I'm a little worrisome, especially Cooper Flagg. He doesn't have a lot of incentive to play in these games. They already said he's going to be out for the ACC tournament. What's his reason to play in the March Madness tournament? So I think it's now a little bit more wide open. A team that I really like is Alabama. I'm also hot on Houston, and another one, St. John's.
I mean, Flagg not being in the tournament would be an absolute major blow. If he doesn't play, it'd be an absolute shock. And by the way, as a chronic ankle sprainer, as I've been medically termed, ankle sprains are no jokes, but I have to imagine, they're in a lot better shape than me, and they have a lot better access to physical therapy than me. So now, Flagg not being in the tournament, I think that'd be a monster hit to the tournament, right? He's the main draw this year, and like you mentioned, business decision. Yeah, is there anybody even close to him? He's like the de facto number 1 overall pick that is clearly going to be taken in the draft, right? So an injury obviously hurts that a ton. I just saw a recent autograph, his McDonald's All-American auto tops get posted on eBay, and it got listed. It's a really cool card. I'll describe it. It's basically like I'm an employee at McDonald's. Here's my badge, and it's his auto right there, 1 of 1 superfractor, and it literally just got listed on eBay for $29K, so $30,000. Pretty insane.
There's a lot of speculation with him. I want him to be good. Both of us, Duke alumni, we're rooting for Duke.
I named my dog. My dog's name is Duke.
Yeah, your dog's named Duke. I've named things after Duke players, but I don't know. There's just something about this injury that doesn't sit right. So, he's gotta be good for next year. We've seen it far too many times. The two of 3 best big men, just got hurt. Wemby got hurt. Embiid got hurt. Big men are fragile. So they got to protect their bodies really early in their career. Otherwise, you're going to end up like an Anthony Davis where you're hurt every other year.
What looks worse, him not playing and just going into the draft, or right? So like, does that hurt his draft stock? Number one, or number two, he plays, he gets hurt again, and then he gets the label of, oh, he's injury prone. Did either situation hurt his draft stock?
I think him not playing doesn't hurt his draft stock one bit. Uh, like if anything, the GMs probably appreciate that, but I'll tell you, the fans are probably going to hate it. He was probably going to be one of the first Duke players that was unscathed by hate. That would give him a lot of hate. But if he plays, he instantly has that dog in him. You remember we were just talking about Steph Curry had injury prone written all over him when he first came in, and that's why he dropped, whatever it was, 7 or 10. He figured it out, but it's just tough for big men because their bodies are just weird. Like big men, people aren't supposed to be that tall. And, the fact that this guy can do all those things, he showed he can play at a high level, but, if he doesn't play, I'll be disappointed.
I think his skill set is like a Kevin Garnett, but better. I think he has a higher ceiling. I think that's like truly who the player is, and I think that no doubt that's all fueling the hobby speculation of the player. So yeah, I think he's the main draw. He's obviously the main draw in the hobby right now, with several various different autos out, and all his cards are still staying high and strong. And I think he's the big draw in college right now for sure.
So we have one guy who's probably not going to get in the tournament, Villanova, Eric Dixon. He's a prolific scorer. I'm excited to see what he can do at the next level. I'm assuming he comes out. I don't know what his cards are looking like right now, but that boy can score. And, Villanova has put out some great stars in the past.
Yeah, the only cards that are really available college-wise outside of Cooper Flag are just some of the Tops Now stuff that they've done, or the Bowman Now that they've done. Same company. But yeah, so essentially, if a big moment happens in the tournament, we talked about this in previous episodes. Tops Now can just do that instant drop of a big moment, right? So some people are predicting, like, say, like a player like R.J. Davis, North Carolina, has a big game or something like that, right? A scoring guard, right? Could they drop a card for him with an auto or something like that? Or a team wins the tournament, maybe top 3 players sign the card, just something like that might happen. And I wouldn't be shocked if some of the companies try to take advantage of the tournament buzz and the moments.
Yes. I mean, sticking with Duke, RJ Davis potentially has his last game ever as a college player, against Duke, this week. UNC is on the bubble watch. They could not be in the tournament. So he's going to have to show out in that game, especially with no Cooper Flag and the other injuries that Dukes are facing.
No doubt. So we'll be watching the tournament closely. I'm excited to see how it impacts the hobby. I'm excited to see if there's any instant now drops. That'd be fun to talk about and pick up. But I think I, like everyone else, will be doing my brackets and really excited for the tournament to come up. College basketball is always a fun watch. So this is another funny thing we were talking about this week and wanted to talk about it on the pod for sure, is new nicknames for players. We're starting to see more and more players get nicknames. Nicknames are not a new thing per se, but it's been around for a long time. But it all started from when you were talking about Jason Tatum getting a new nickname. What do you think of JT's new nickname, by the way?
It's very bad.
For those who don't know, the Anomaly is what the nickname is now.
It seems like it was made to just be on cards. It's a very dumb nickname. Like, again, Celtics fan, love JT, but this is tough to defend. It's very much like the guy has been accused of having no aura, not being the true face of the league. The Anomaly is not a cool nickname.
I like JT. JT is so much. It's very simple. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's not unique though, right? I guess there's technically a lot of JTs that are out there, right?
Yeah. But yeah, the Anomaly is a really corny nickname. It's just, it doesn't spark any excitement. Like, score from the Anomaly. Like,
yeah, no, I don't know if it really, I get it, but I don't know if it really fits for him in particular, but right. So like outside of like the Air Jordan, outside of Black Mamba, King James, Magic, like the ones that we all know, what are some other funny nicknames out there? I was thinking lesser known, maybe. Lesser known in Boston, but like Paul Pierce, the Truce. I was like, I like Allen Iverson's The Answer, right? I think The Answer is awesome. Like his whole brand was built around The Answer. Is one of my favorite ones. What are some of your favorite old ones?
One that I always loved, kind of like a random player, of our youth. Cadillac Williams, Carnell Williams, the running back.
Oh, yeah. That's a great one. I love that.
Yeah. Cadillac is such a sweet nickname, especially for a running back. He was a big boy. He would just run people down, run people over.
I like, what are the ones on, like, probably maybe in the Cadillac time frame was Pac-Man Jones, Adam Pac-Man
Yeah.
Jones. No, is that wait, no. Was it Adam
Yep.
Pac-Man Jones? I think it's
Adam
Pac-Man
Pac-Man
Jones.
Jones. Yeah.
Yeah, but and I was looking actually. When I was thinking about that, I was looking to see if he was signing it with like a little Pac-Man. That'd be so perfect for him to like sign something with a little Pac-Man. Pac-Man, if you're
Yeah.
listening to the show, I'm sure you're a big fan. You might want to switch up the autos to the little Pac-Man because I'll buy one. I love it.
Yeah.
But if it was in today's day and age, how all the athletes are now doing the inscriptions on the card. So when they're signing autos, they're putting like whether it's their nickname or Brady put something like if football didn't work out, I would have if football didn't work out, I would have just done baseball, right, or something like that. So like I think nicknames are definitely a big part of the sports hobby, and I think if you can get a more unique piece or a rare piece where you get like the nickname thrown in there, like if Johnny Manziel signed it Johnny Football, like I think that's really cool. It makes the piece a little bit more special.
Yeah, for sure. When I was looking even through like a list of nicknames, boxers back in the day had some really cool nicknames, like Marvelous Marvin Hagler. Like,
Yeah,
like that.
yeah,
I
that's
think he's
pretty
a
cool.
local guy. Muhammad Ali is the original People's Champ.
Yeah,
Um,
Iron
you
Mike
know,
Tyson.
Iron Mike Tyson.
It's a good one.
Big George Foreman. Like those were just like those guys had big names, and obviously boxing isn't as big as it used to be. But those guys had great nicknames. I also was a big fan of Birdman, Chris Anderson.
Oh, that's a
Yeah,
good
with
one.
the
That's a good
tattoos
one.
everywhere.
Yeah, yeah,
I forgot his name was Chris. I just always called him Birdman.
yeah.
Like
Shaq
that's
Diesel. I don't know how we forgot about Shaquille O'Neal. Shaq Diesel's another
yeah,
really good one.
yeah. He had so many. Like Shaq just kept making up nicknames every year.
Yeah, yeah. I know Shaq this, right? Like
Yeah,
Diesel. He was
yeah. And then
a lot of
there's
movies.
guys. Yeah, there's guys you forget that they like it is their nickname. Like Tiger Woods. Tiger's
Yeah,
not his real name. His name's Eldrin.
Magic.
So it's
I mean,
yeah,
I said it earlier,
Magic.
like
Yeah,
Magic Johnson, like that.
yeah,
I wouldn't. I have to look it up, but it's Irvin Johnson, right? Yeah,
yeah, yeah.
yeah.
I mean, do you know Doc Rivers? What's Doc's real name?
I don't know. No, I don't know. I was even thinking like Sauce Gardner, like
Yeah,
on the Jets, right? I don't even. I
yeah,
actually had to look that one up. It was mainly because they used to call him A1 because that was his first name is I think it's Amen and his number was 1, so it's A1 steak sauce. And it just
yeah,
shortened to sauce at some point in time, and now it's if you get his cards, it's all Ahmed's sauce. It's like
yeah.
it's funny how it became his name.
But I mean, nicknames are interesting too because if you are making up your own nickname, and it's not being given to you, that's a little lame too. We're big Kobe people, love Kobe, but he gave himself the name Black Mamba. So
Oh,
it's not
don't
as
speak ill on Kobe, man. Come
yeah,
on,
it's not as
come on.
impactful when you come up with like it's yeah, but you can't give yourself a nickname. It has to be given to you. Another one I love, I don't know what his cards are even worth, but the Honey Badger, Tyrone Matthew.
Honey Badger, that's a good one
Honey
too.
Badger,
Yeah.
yeah.
Oh, man.
He
See, there's
was
so many of
awesome.
these. There's definitely so
Yeah.
many of these.
Yeah, like this is the old thing, we talk about all the time. Like guys can just sit in a room and just name athlete names.
The nicknames,
Michael Irvin,
yeah.
the playmaker, which is another great cocky nickname. You'd be like, yeah, I'm the playmaker. I'm so good. I'm the playmaker. Like it's
Yeah.
great. Randy
It's
Moss,
funny.
the freak,
Yeah.
big ticket, Kevin Garnett.
The Greek
Do this
freak.
all day.
The Greek, yeah, we can do this all day. And it instantly brings
Yeah.
a smile to your face. This is one of those things where we're just literally saying names and smiling and be like, right? So amazing topic. And as it relates to the hobby, I really think that the more unique autos that there are, and people are including their nicknames, including their little logos, I think it really is just a marketing play, right? So JT, say what you want, right? I like JT a lot better. Not really unique because there could be more JTs out there. So I think going with the anomaly is what was his move was, right?
Yeah.
Let's switch gears a little bit and talk a little bit about NFL free agency because there were some major moves going on. I think it is definitely going to start to impact the card market a little bit, right? A number of different moves. Most notably, I broke down a list of just some of the QBs and wide receivers that were moving. Justin Field to the Jets, DJ Metcalf over to the Steelers, Daniel Jones to the Colts, Geno Smith to the Raiders. Like such a big shakeup, right? It's obviously one of the fun times if you're, especially if you're a fan of a rebuilding team like we are with the New England Patriots, right? A lot of excitement these days. But what are some of your takes on some of the free agency moves that have been going on?
Oh man, people got paid. DK, I mean, not really a free agent move, but DK to Pittsburgh is very interesting to me because one, they don't have a quarterback right now, but and they've always had offensive issues, but they've always developed great wide receivers. So I'm excited to see if DK can be even more unlocked than he really was. Whatever type of offense they drum up, Arthur Smith, whatever he creates, Mike Tomlin, whatever they got there. And then obviously they need a quarterback. We obviously have ideas of who might be the quarterback there, but DK going to Pittsburgh was a big one. Another interesting one. This is a smaller one, but one that I think, for card buyers, it could be a little interesting. Tua is always hurt. He always gets concussions. He always has issues. The new backup there is Zach Wilson. Okay. It would be interesting to see him, an athletic little guy, in that Mike McDaniel system. Maybe you can definitely buy Zach Wilson on the cheap, I'm assuming. Like, what's Zach Wilson going for right now?
Oh, irrelevant, right?
Like, you could they're probably giving him away.
There are some people, though, who did spend a lot on Zach Wilson initially. That whole class, what year was that?
That was the Mac Jones class.
Yeah, Mac Jones, Trevor Lawrence was in that class, right?
And then the other guy, Justin Fields, who's now on the Jets,
also in that class. That was the all-time, like, oh my god, how hobby height speculation, like the hobby was at all-time high. Speculation. I
think Trevor Lawrence is the only quarterback of that class that's still on the original team. This is now like his fourth head coach, but so Zach Wilson, he's an interesting one, and then Justin Fields. The Jets are the Jets. They're always going to be bad. I think you could literally put any amazing athletes on that team and they will just always be bad. It doesn't matter. You can resurrect, like the 1960 Packers, put them on the Jets and they'll go 3-15.
And we've talked about, there's just those organizations I feel bad for some of those fans, right? Like Jets come to mind, Cleveland Browns come to mind. I would have said the Lions before their recent run come to mind. Like those, they've turned it around. So I'm not saying these organizations can't turn it around, but there are those perpetual bottom of the barrel NFL teams, and I feel like the Jets are just one of those.
The Jets are definitely one of them, but I don't feel bad for Jets fans ever because Jets fans are Yankees fans. So
they switch.
Right.
Yeah.
They can go chase a bus in the traffic. I'm all set. I'm all set with Jets fans. In college, we went to school with a lot of Jets fans. They were very annoying when they had that one Mark Sanchez run. They thought that was it. Yeah. They stink. But Justin Fields will be interesting because he's an athletic guy. I think he got a bad shake, with the Bears. He looked decent enough with the Steelers, but he's probably, going to be a shell of himself in the Jets.
I wouldn't mind the Justin Fields comeback. I have a Justin Fields optic downtown, not graded, actually pulled Justin Fields downtown when I first started to get one of my better pulls. That's a super short print, ultra rare card, like awesome design, very, very popular card. And at one point in time, it was very high. Even the speculation last year, it went back up, and I stupidly held, and it went way, way, way down mid season when Russ started to play well, and then it's shooting up again a little bit, right? So I mean, if there's a chance for me to get out of that Justin Fields card, I would very much like to do so.
Yeah.
So could be my year.
What do you think about Sam Darnold going to Seattle?
So that's a win. That's a huge win for them, right? Because they had Geno, and now Geno's on the older side, right? So they're getting younger and better, and played well from Minnesota the previous year. So I mean, great.
Those are two former Jets quarterbacks that got new deals because life outside the Jets made them better. So maybe that's what Justin Fields is hoping for. He's hoping he plays 2 years with the Jets, and then his career gets resurgence.
It's kind of like that movie. What's that movie where that guy
Better Luck Chuck?
Better Luck Chuck. Yeah. So
Good Luck Chuck. Cook.
Yeah. So that's kind of what I think the Jets team is.
The Jets are
quarterbacks, right? Yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
exactly.
If you spend a year to 2 years on the Jets, your life will be exponentially better. I mean, going back to Brett Favre, he had 2 bad years on the Jets. Then he had a great year in Minnesota. So Aaron Rodgers is hoping for it. And Justin Fields is hoping to get some of that magic of breaking up with the Jets.
Yeah, I mean, and it's not a shock that all of these names that we're mentioning are up anywhere from 50 to 300, 500%, right? I was looking them up before the show and all trending up. So I think everyone has the same idea. It's let's take some flyers out in the event that they can make a comeback or have a monster season. And all these names relatively could be low and will probably continue to dip in the offseason. And if they have a big season next year, then they obviously got to shoot back up. So could be a good time to get into buy. Let's switch to some recent news. One of the cool headlines: Fanatics in a recent interview talked about how successful the Topps debut patches are that they're putting on the MLB players, and they've decided to continue that with football and basketball within the coming years. So pretty obvious that was going to happen, but me as a collector, I'm very excited. So for those who don't know what it is essentially these Topps now debut patches. They go on a jersey. The MLB has done it, an example of one is Paul Skeens. His debut logo right now is up for auction, and it's going for $550K. It's a 101 auto with his debut patch on it. So rookies going forward, both in the NFL and in the NBA, they're going to have these similar patches to debut patches, and then they'll wear them in their first opening game, first game ever played, and they'll put them on a 101 card, which they'll most likely sign as well. So really cool that they're going to continue this in the hobby, but I just think it speaks to the rarity and how people want the rare ultra collector's item. And it helps, it's good for collectors who love the rarity and like to collect that stuff, but it's also good for the companies printing these cards because they become this ultra chase card that if you buy like a $50-$100 box, you have the ability to become like a lottery scratch ticket winner for $1 million plus if you pull one of these cards.
Yeah, it's really. I mean, I don't know if like my algorithm is obviously just listening to me have these conversations with you now, but it's kind of cool to see all of these big companies putting a lot of investment into the trading card world. Like as we've stated, I'm not a collector. I don't know much about collecting. I'm learning it all through you and through doing this show with you. But like I see, like like WWE does a big Tops thing. Obviously, you're mentioning MLB and NBA and NFL are going to start doing big things. It's cool, and I think like it makes the sport more 365 because once the season ends, you're still talking about it, you're still trading, you're still speculating. So it's a cool way for like kids, to have these conversations all year round. Saying like, hey, I got the Paul Skeens card, like he's definitely going to win the Cy Young this year, or the Mookie Betts card. Talking about it in the wintertime, when otherwise, baseball's not happening. So it's cool. It creates more relevance around the sport, and hopefully, it brings sports like baseball back, where there's been a lack of interest.
Right. And I've been even looking out for them now. I've definitely, my interest in baseball has definitely dropped over the years. Like if I were to rank my sports when I was younger, like baseball number one, far and away, and then, probably football, basketball right below that. But obviously during the Brady era, football took over Boston, right? But Boston historically has always been a baseball town.
I mean,
when I was growing up, that's what it always was about.
Yeah, I mean, you want to talk nicknames again, Big Papi.
How do we forget Big
that
Papi?
era?
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean that era, like that, 20 not 20 years, but like whatever, like 15-year era of Big Papi, and then even rolled into a little bit of Mookie. The Red Sox were awesome. But I know like it's not just because Boston doesn't love baseball anymore that baseball's dropped, but like, there's a lot of great young talent out there. Like you see guys like Ellie De La Cruz, when you look on like Card Ladder or, Market Movers, his cards go for some decent money, because he's a great young guy who can steal bases, hit home runs. He's like, I think he's like 6'5", plays shortstop. Like he's just a big dude. And, it's cool to see, people draw to him. You just got to hope that these guys have a little bit of personality, that they can carry the sport into this next generation of kids beyond just the cards.
Yeah, but I also think it helps you, like the patches also as a sports fan, helps you kind of recognize who the young rookies and prospects are. And then have like an associated value with like what the hype and speculation is around that, right? Like even myself, I was looking at, I know Roman Anthony is a big prospect for the Red Sox.
Yeah.
I was seeing some clips from him in spring training and I'm like, oh man, so I wonder what his like debut patch auto would go for, right? It's going to be crazy high. Is it going to be lower? Is it going to be maybe obtainable, right? Like, I don't know. It just gets you paying more attention to prospects in the younger classes. So again, I think it's awesome for sports fans and it's also awesome for collectors. So it's a win-win. And I'm happy they're finally extending it to the NBA and the NFL. Another Topps, we talked about Topps now in a previous episode as well, but when Steph Curry hit his 4,000th three-pointer, a Topps Now special card was just recently released, the 4K Club in the Steph Auto 101. So again, taking advantage of a moment like Topps is doing on a number of different Topps Now releases that have recently come out, but beautiful looking card. And Steph inscribed it like charter member of the 4,000 Club or something along those lines. So I don't think Steph's done by any means. Like he could definitely continue to climb the ranks in the 3 pointers, right? And he's definitely going to be the ones to set that record going forward. But I think it's pretty cool, and I think it's another example of Topps taking advantage of really cool moments and putting out some really cool products for collectors.
Yeah, we were having a little bit of a debate in text before we got on about Steph versus LeBron. Because and I don't think they're really comparable players. But like Steph has like drastically changed the game. Because yes, he's the first person in 4,000 threes, but it will be interesting to see over the next 20, 30 years how many players are in that. It reminds me almost of, again, drawing back to baseball, all the players that got into the 500 home run club, during that steroid era. How many players in this era of basketball are going to hit that 4,000? Like, Tatum, I think, is like just over 2,000 threes hit. So like these types of guys who are just firing threes, like, Peyton Pritchard, who's like shooting 33s a game. How long till guys like that hit 4,000 made threes? And will it be an ultra exclusive club, or will it just be like a checkbox to get into the Hall of Fame?
That's good. That's a great question. And does it devalue those cards? Does it make it more expensive? Well, does it hurt Steph's longevity? But but if you're talking about the player, I totally get LeBron's still ahead of Steph. You think about impact to the game, the modern NBA game. Steph is way more impactful than LeBron actually was, in my opinion, because Steph changed the game literally. Like if you look at how many 3 pointers attempts that are being taken this year alone, and it's only going to continue to grow. It's basically like a glorified 3 point contest in some of these NBA games, depending on the matchup. So impact of the game, Steph is way higher than LeBron in my opinion, but LeBron obviously still ahead of Steph.
Yeah, one thing I'll say for LeBron is LeBron has adapted. He's played in three different eras. He played in that, like, almost that like early 2000s where it was like coming off the 90s, that Kobe era where it was just like throw your body around. Then he played in the next era where really it was like him, but it was still like a physical era, but it was like, a lot of mid-range. And now he's playing in this, 3-point era. Granted he's injured right now, but he's 40 years old and he's still holding his own. So I hate the debates of like, who's better, because like you don't stay at the top of the mountaintop for as long as LeBron has if you're not a great player. Anyone who calls him a fraud just doesn't know ball or is a hater.
LeBron has, I think, the best career of all time, right? For him to
Yeah.
come into the league at 18, so young, and not get into any trouble, be a family guy, perpetual winner, jumped around multiple teams, always professional, solid investments off the court, right? Gets ultimate branding and never really injured. Takes care of his body the whole time. Never had like a monster injury that set him back, right? Like if you talk about Steph, we talked about the ankles earlier, right? So Steph is definitely in that camp and category where his injuries definitely hurt his career. LeBron didn't really run into those issues. And then, like, I don't know, like as you get older, right? I've always find it so impressive. Like this is a guy with a family. He has kids. Father time's always catching up, and he's still finding a way to play at a high level. Not a lot of guys can do that and have that out of high school, amazing career into adulthood and deal with no injuries, and then deal with no off the court shenanigans, and then deal with father time catching up to you. Like I find his career so impressive.
Yeah. I mean, Steph has even said he's not playing till 40. Steph, I think, is the same age as us, like 35, 36. So it'll be interesting. We are seeing, the tail end of Steph. The thing with shooters is they can hang around a little bit longer. You look at like a Ray Allen or a Reggie Miller type. But not for nothing, it's still remarkable that, Steph has the first to do 4,000 made threes. The guy really did, change the way the game is played. Those Warriors teams, made everyone build the team from the arc in instead of building from big man out.
Yeah. No, Steph collectibles are just going to continue to be through the roof, right? So that's a guy you always hold on to forever. He's going to be one of obviously the all-time greats in the NBA, and known as the guy that's always changed the game. And we talk a lot of sports in this show, so we definitely wanted to spend a little bit of time talking about some non-sports cards. And two non-sports cards that are top of mind for collectors recently is Pokemon, right? Pokemon is definitely top tier for a lot of folks. And I sent you a video fairly recently earlier, the new set Prismatic Evolutions that have recently came out. People are going crazy over this set release. Like in Costco's, they're like, it reminds me of like a Black Friday type of scenario where people are lining up at the doors, They open the doors, they're tackling, they're fist fighting, they're ripping it out of each other's hands. Like, what is going on in that world right now that it's just like causing these fightings? This is so crazy to me.
Yeah, I mean, I've admitted this. I was a always a Pokemon hater. You know, my brothers, sorry. You know, I used to destroy their Pokemon cards when they were little. Never watched the show, but I know it's always been big money. It's crazy. Like, yeah, that video of people like grabbing these crates, like these pallets of Pokemon cards. You know, and like we've talked about this, like Jake Paul or Logan Paul having that $5 million card. I think that's what it is. Like these things are legit gold, and I don't even know if people are playing the game because like
No,
Pokemon is
no,
a
no, more
Pokemon's a
collector
game.
dominant. Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah, it's
like
a game. People
like
forget that sometimes. Yeah, yeah.
like it was a game. Like and no one the people just want it for the collectible piece of it. And it sucks when you see stuff like that like the collectors are going in so they can mark the value up. And it's like honestly like one of those things you can't really even regulate besides like putting a limit on how many boxes people are allowed to buy.
Yeah, right. And it's so there is the collector chase aspect of things that people want to hit that lottery ticket, but they're also a bit like these are side businesses for some people. Like they're scalpers and third parties. Like this happens in any collectible market, right? We talk about this with sneakers all the time, right? These are people's actual businesses. So a lot of people like fist fighting, they're protecting their livelihood, right? They grab these things, they mark it up 3, 4, 5, maybe 10x sometimes in the secondary market, and it's like that's unfair a little bit to consumers too. It's like I go into my local Target and I always just look to see if the Pokemon cards there because my daughter likes Pokemon. She actually just likes to just open the packs and look at them. And we go over and look at that section. It is cleared out. Whoever is at my local Target, he's got like either a connection when the truck arrives or he's like out in the parking lot stocking it every single day because that person is on it. Like he clears that place out. He or she clears that place out. It's crazy, man. It's crazy how the Pokemon card market's going. In other like scalping prices, I mean, I recently bought a Topps Finest X-Men's 97, which I've gotten back into the show a little bit and been reading the comics a lot. And I mean, MCU also has some amazing cards, but the X-Men 97 cards, really, really cool. But I think the retail value of a hobby box, which means I can get like an autograph and some sketch cards and some just really cool, unique collectibles and memorabilia stuff, is $100. I had to buy it for 200, so double, right? So I had to pay literally double for just a box that I want to open that I think is really cool. It's just scalpers take advantage, man. It's just simple economics and scarcity.
So like are those cards, like if Disney puts out, a new X-Men movie or Fantastic Four when the Fantastic Four movie comes out, are the cards for Fantastic Four gonna like pop?
Oh yeah, dude, and I think Topps now could get involved with that, right? Like we were talking about earlier, like what's his name? Pedro, is it
Pedro Pascal.
Pedro Pascal. So if he does like an autograph on a card, right? And I mean, he could do an autograph for the Mandalorian. He could do an autograph for Mr. Fantastic, right?
Yeah.
And like that's a chase card, right? That I'm sure a lot of collectors want. I wouldn't be surprised if non-sports hobbies start to align themselves with movies and TV shows, right?
Yeah.
So season of a TV show, they're already doing it. Like there's like the Mandalorian, they have like their sets of cards, but I see that as a massive opportunity there for them to continue to grow and attaching sports cards and memorabilia cards or non-sports cards and memorabilia cards to movie releases, and they can definitely grow that market because there's a big non-sports cards collector market out there. All right, so we'll talk a little bit more about non-sports cards some more coming up, but let's get to the mailbag. We got an awesome DM, which kind of ties into our NFL free agency, but I really like this question. I think a lot of people around this time are looking for those plays around just off-season football buys, especially with the draft coming up, especially with the free agency moves, and as NFL card prices start to dip at this time of year into the summer, people are looking for plays. Who do we buy now and who do we sell? And the question that we got in a DM is two-part question. Hey guys, looking to make some off-season football pickups. Do you think that Justin Fields or Aaron Rodgers is a better investment this offseason? Let's just go around the horn and we'll talk about both of our takes for both, right? So personally, I'd love for Justin Fields to go up, but the Jets are the Jets. Absolutely not. Do not go in on Justin Fields. That is playing with fire. You're going to catch a falling knife on that one.
I think if it's the difference between short-term investment and long-term investment. Like I said, buy Justin Fields after like week 9, when he's thrown like 6 picks and 2 fumbles. because he's going to be at an all-time low, and it's his post-Jet career that's going to be worth something. Aaron Rodgers, even though he's old, he showed signs of being good towards the end of the year. I'm a big Aaron Rodgers hater, but it's probably like if you're trying to buy a card, and especially long term, Aaron's had a better career.
All right. So for me with Rodgers, what I find so interesting is how eerily he mirrors Brett Favre's career, right? Started off his career, the prodigy, could do no wrong, won a Super Bowl early. You like unanimously loved in Green Bay, like absolute amazing quarterback. And then just somehow devolves to a point where Green Bay hates him. They run him out of town and goes to the Jets, sinks even further. Lots of off-field stuff, right? Like Brett Favre had, and obviously he had, that makes him even more unlikable. But wouldn't it be just so like perfect for him to go to Minnesota? Because Minnesota needs a quarterback now. I know McCarthy could be starting there too, but they still potentially need a veteran quarterback in the room. Wouldn't it be so perfectly fitting story written for Rodgers to go to Minnesota, join that team, and have an MVP-like season for his final year? Because Favre, if you remember, his final year had an MVP-like season in Minnesota. So what I would say is, hey, you want to take a flyer out on Aaron Rodgers, right? I mean, he's definitely historic. There's going to be some Aaron Rodgers collectors out there somewhere, and if he can have like that Brett Favre mirrored MVP-like season for one season in Minnesota, sell and get out, could be an opportunity there for sure. All right, that's our time. Thank you all again. If you guys want to drop a message just to the mailbag, you can always email us up at collectthesetakes at gmail.com, but also hit us up on all socials, TikTok, Instagram, at collectthesetakes. Be sure to drop us a follow or a like and subscribe for more, and we'll catch everybody on the next one. Catch y'all.